artificial reefs deployed, some of the science that goes into that, where they put these things, why they put them where they do. It's a really cool topic if you're somebody who enjoys the Gulf Coast like we do, and especially if you're a fisherman. It's a lot to it, a lot goes into it. If you've never heard of us, we are Brown Water Banter. My name is Jared. This is Joey. If you haven't checked us out, we are a local podcast. We do interviews with local fishermen, local businesses, politicians, anything related to the Gulf Coast. We like to have conversations with them, talk to people about different topics. And you can find us on all the streaming platforms, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, the whole nine. So check us out if you haven't. You can jump over to brownwaterbanter.com or just come by the booth here if you're out and about today. It's really a cool event, family friendly. So swing by again. We're at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum Convention Center. So Mr. Ralph, thank you for stopping by and chatting with us. You've been on the show at least, what, 2 times I think now?
2 times so far.
Yes, sir. And it's been some great conversations. So for people that are maybe just tuning in here in front of us or on the internet, hearing about you for the first time and the Mississippi Gulf Fishing Banks, can you give us a backstory on what it is and how you got affiliated?
Sure. So my name is Ralph Humphrey, and I'm retired from the government. I worked as an air traffic controller for 35 years and retired, been president for at least 14, 15 years. The organization itself is a nonprofit. It was started in 1969 by local business people and fishermen looking at a way to enhance fishing opportunities off the coast of Mississippi. As you know, Mississippi has nothing but a mud bottom out there past the barrier islands. There's no natural reef structure. And to catch reef fish, you have to have a reef. So they started building artificial reefs, and that's been the main driving force behind our organization. We currently hold the permits for building the artificial reefs. There are permitted areas both in the Mississippi Sound and south of the islands in the open Gulf, and the Department of Marine Resources partnership with the DMR. They have an actual artificial reef bureau and a finfish bureau, and we work with both those bureaus hand in hand, trying to figure out where we want to put the next artificial reef, how we're going to pay for it, what the materials are that we're going to use. And so anyways, the state takes a lot of credit for what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and there's a lot, like you said, that goes into all that, the red tape, as you call it, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different things with federal agencies, regulations, state regulations that we have to, I've learned this just having talked to you the couple times that we have, that you have to abide by, right?
Yep.
We have a mud bottom out there in the Mississippi part of the Sound here, and we have a very big commercial shrimping population that we have to take into account when we put out these types of reefs. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we have designated spots where we build the artificial reefs, and they're located on marine charts so the shrimpers know not to avoid those areas,
right,
so they don't snag their trawls. But yeah, we have to share the resource, right? I mean, we can't just take all the bottom and for fish, because there has to be room for the shrimpers as well.
That's right. That's right. We good, Joey? Good.
Yeah, that works elevation.
Uh-oh, you probably muted your mic. But yeah, so when you deploy something like that, one of the things that I remember us talking about is there's height, like elevations. They're only allowed to be so far off the top of the bottom. Is that correct?
That's correct. Each reef location, each designated spot, has a minimum amount of clearance that we have to maintain. So when something goes down and it's a mean low tide, there has to be a certain amount of clearance over the top of that reef.
That's right.
And each fish haven is different. They all have different height requirements.
Yeah, we don't want somebody traveling over these fish havens and hitting the mast of a boat or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's
Wouldn't
right.
be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been doing this. We went with y'all one time and did the pogie boat not too long ago, right? Where we sunk the pogie boat. Y'all just was FH.
I got to hand it to you guys. You have a big audience, and we really increased our membership there, my organization. And through that increased membership, we were able to come up with a bunch of more projects. So in the last year and a half, we have deployed 2 pogie boats that came from Omega Protein. Yep. Both of those are out in Fish Haven 13. They're on the back end where it's deep enough where that big structure has enough vertical clearance over the top of it. We also deployed a bunch of steel structure that was donated to us from Chevron Corporation. They're big supporters of our organization. It's a tugboat, a twin-engine tugboat, about 125 foot long, about 45 foot tall, and we put the world's largest manufactured cockroach on the back of it.
Absolutely.
One of our local
Yeah.
business persons owns a
Very
pest
smart
control
marketing guy.
Yeah, smart
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah.
He owns a pest control business, Bruno Milanese, and owns Bay Pest Control. And he contracted with our deployment company to construct a steel cockroach on the back of the barge. If you haven't seen it, go on social media. It was on all the local newspapers and television shows. But yeah, it was fantastic. It got a lot of publicity.
It
both
did
for
what he wanted it to do.
It did.
Yeah.
It got a lot of publicity for Bruno's Bay Pest Control, a lot of publicity for Gulf Fishing Banks, the DMR, and fishing in general.
Has there been any photos of it after having been sunk yet? Have any divers got any good photos of it underwater yet?
Not that I'm aware
Okay.
of.
All right.
Not that
Somebody's
I'm
got
aware
to get
of.
on that for us.
And I can tell you that I was.
Water Mafia guys or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will. I was in St. Petersburg, Florida, this past week, attending a marine resource education program training, and there was marine people that are in the marine industry. There was recreational fishermen, commercial fishermen, scientists, both from the Gulf and from the Southeast Atlantic, and several of them had heard about the cockroach reef. They knew about it. They'd seen pictures of it. They were kind of excited for us about it.
Yeah.
Last Friday a week ago.
Okay.
Friday a week ago, and it was a smaller vessel. It went into FH14, Fish Haven 14, which is just south of the Barrier Isle, just south of Horn and Ship. About 35-foot steel vessel. We put some concrete culverts inside of it to give it a little ballast and to give some nooks ashore for snapper and grouper. We also are trying to build resources for the smaller fish. And FH14 is hit quite a bit by the inshore fishermen that like to run out there and fish for sheephead this time of year. So
Right.
it'll be a great sheephead reef.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, especially the local charter boat fleet, they can't run out to the FH13. So when you do the stuff inshore, the FH14s, the FH2s, that way they can fish it. It hits the whole gamut of the people fishing around here.
Little side story to that. The family that donated that boat had come out there and they were doing a little celebration, and then guys looked at someone else and says, "Hey, what, you think there's any fish on this thing yet?" So he put down a cigar man and immediately caught a red snapper.
Oh, wow.
Thing been in the water 30 minutes. He caught a red snapper. Of
30
course,
minutes?
30 minutes.
Okay, all
so,
right, yeah.
of course,
Wow.
he turned it loose. It's not snapper season. It was
Right.
it was a small fish. But the
Right.
point is,
Yeah.
in 30 minutes there was already fish on top of it.
You figure it scares them away when they
You-
sink them, right? But he was within 30 minutes, he's already back there trying to check out what's going
He's
on.
trying to move in.
Literally in 30 minutes.
So, and that brings up a good point. If you could let people know, is typically when y'all deploy these structures, whether they be a boat or culverts or whatever it is that you've deployed, you have a incubation time where you try not to let we don't want people fishing on them for X amount. What's the time limit there?
We do. We've worked that out with the Department of Marine Resources and their scientists, and their recommendation is to let it sit on the bottom for 12 months to percolate, let it get established. So the DMR has taken over the responsibility of maintaining the database for those locations. You can go to the DMR website and go to their, it's fairly easy to navigate to, and you'll find where all their artificial reef coordinates are located.
Okay.
But so that boat that we put down last Friday won't be published until a year from now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But there is a way to get around that.
Well, funny
You should bring that up.
Funny you should mention that.
Yeah, yeah.
And quite frankly, that was the entire reason that I joined the Mississippi Gulf Fishing Banks in the first place 20-some years ago. And that is, at next month's meeting, that will be one of our, to the membership, the numbers for that spot, the latitude, longitude numbers for that spot.
Yeah.
But for the general public at large, you'll have to wait till the DMR publishes it a year from now.
Yeah, so what he's saying is that the time that they sink that or whatever, again, deploy whatever it may be, at the next Mississippi Gulf Fishing Banks meeting, you get those coordinates before they're published to the public. So
Yeah, that's correct.
that's another perk of being in the organization. Do you, going back to that 12-month incubation period though, I mean, you could still go out there and fish it. It's just you don't want massive amounts of people going out there, right?
Right. You don't want everybody and his brother out there
Right.
dropping a 10-ounce lead and hooks and lines and engine noise over the top of it. You want
Right.
to just let it just sit there and like percolate. It's a good expression.
Yeah, I like it. I like
And
it.
it's just getting barnacles. It's getting the foundation, the stuff that the little fish need. When the little fish get there, the big fish move in, and then you got a happy ecosystem, right?
That's exactly it, Joe. That's exactly it.
Again, we've talked about this before. If you haven't looked up or seen the episode, the full episode, a little more in depth, but one of the things that we talked about too makes me think of two different things. Number one, when you deploy the vessels, right? I want to make sure that people hearing about it for the first time understand the amount. Uh-oh.
I don't know what that is.
You got our attention, sir.
Yeah.
We'll let this go real quick.
It's in 30 minutes.
There we go. 30 minutes.
If you're not here, what I was going to say is that the amount of work and effort that goes into these vessels, these boats, before y'all sink them to get them environmentally ready to be deployed is really something impressive.
It's extremely impressive because you don't just receive an old boat that's no longer serviceable and sink it.
Right.
So,
I think that's what people think,
yeah,
and I probably would have thought the same thing having not.
Yeah, they think it's pollution. They think
Right.
that you're sinking it with gas tanks, with oil.
engines either have to be removed or flushed. The transmissions, the gearboxes, all that stuff has to be either removed or flushed. When that boat goes down, you don't want to see an oil slick. You want it to be you don't want to see anything.
Right.
So anything organic needs to come out of there. All the wood, all the plastic wiring has to come out. When that steel hull vessel goes down, that's all there is steel.
Right.
Clean steel. We have had projects where our membership did all that cleaning. The Gulf Coast Research Laboratory donated one of their purple oil sheen, that green oil sheen come up. It wants to be clean.
That's right.
And so, it's good for the environment. It's good for the fish.
Yeah, and so that is an example of what goes into deploying a boat, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the only type of artificial reef that y'all put out there. There's many styles of artificial reefs. Could you kind of go over just a couple of those?
Sure.
And the differences of why?
Absolutely. So my permits allow us to put out specifically 3 types of artificial reef. One is what we've been talking about, the old derelict vessels, right? Steel hull though, not wooden, not fiberglass.
Right.
It's got to be a steel hull vessel. We get those cleaned up. Then we have what's referred to as a material of design, and that's manufactured pyramids, manufactured domes.
Right.
Actually, at our booth back here in the back, we have some small examples off the bottom for shallow water to 14, 15 foot tall in deep water. Some of the pyramids that were put down recently in conjunction with the Department of Marine Resources, they're 24 foot tall pyramids with poles sticking out of the top of the pyramid to give it more structure in the water.
Okay.
So it's largely from state and city governments, county governments. That's when they have infrastructure projects where they're digging up the old culverts and putting down new culverts. We get the old culverts. Quite often there'll be a culvert manufacturer that manufactures or run a culvert so they don't meet a particular stress test. And so they'll take those culverts that didn't work, that were not good for deploying, and they'll give them to us. The DMR has on the Gulfport Seaway have plans to deploy just about everything on the staging site this summer. So we've got a bunch of reefs going to go out this year. So those are the 3 main types of reef.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That repurposes something that would otherwise probably have to end up in a landfill. Or,
Yes.
I don't know if they could recycle it or not, but at least we're using it for.
But it's not always feasible to do it.
Right.
It's particularly that old concrete that's coming up out of the ground. That's a perfect opportunity for us. And be honest with you, those 3 types of reefs that I just mentioned, my own anecdotal evidence is that the concrete culverts, that rubble, that's the best fishing bottom, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because
And-
they could get in there, hide.
Yes.
It's got a perfect platform for them.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's kind of what I was going to lead into was that, y'all artificial reefs, but you work hand in hand with the DMR with a lot of this, right? There's a lot of overlap there with, especially when it comes to actually deploying these items, right?
It's critical. The DMR, first of all, they have most of the funding that's available, but more importantly, they have the scientists. They have the people
That
that
was
have
my next question was,
actually have degrees in this, right? It's like if you wouldn't go to your dentist to have to have heart surgery, right?
Right.
So the same thing here. The DMR's got the scientists. They know. They got lots of data, lots of research, and not just from them, but they core on. They know, they have a pretty good idea where the most advantageous deployment spot's going to be for whatever it is that we're deploying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that too, which I was going to lead into here is that once these go down, you mentioned the 3 different types of reefs that you can deploy. There and forget it, right? They're trying to gain information as to what works better, what style works better, what fish likes what type of reef to make it a more efficient, a more productive reef when y'all deploy in the future.
That's correct. They set fish traps out. They do hook and line assessments. They send GoPro cameras down there. They're observing and monitoring all the different types of reefs, and they're trying to get an idea of what works best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also we send divers down as well, and again that's in conjunction with the DMR. And she's told me where she sat there for hours looking at videos and with a pen and paper and writing down. Looking at videos and with a pen and paper and writing down.
One snapper.
One snapper.
Yeah.
One snapper.
Yeah.
One bluefish.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Now these programs are going to be able to go through and just say, an example, 60-minute video. If there's 4 instances where a snapper showed up, it can pop and then send it to you or show it to you. It's
That's
crazy.
pretty incredible.
That's awesome. In a perfect world, I know the permits have to come in. If we get something donated, which y'all do take donations as well, right? If there's something that we can get, y'all bring that in. Is there an official timeline between permit, sink, put it out there and all that stuff, or is it varies, right?
So our permits are open-ended. They're 5-year permits. So during that 5-year period, we're free to deploy whatever we can as often as we can, and that's just restricted by funding, right? If we had the money and the materials, we could deploy something every day. So we're restricted by funding. As far as donations go, like I said, the Department of Marine Resources has a staging site on the Gulf Coast Seaway, and it's several acres. It was big, and they will accept donations of materials out there at the staging site. And they'll bring a barge up and take the stuff and offload it from the staging site onto the barge, and we'll run it out. But we are a 501(c) nonprofit online. It's mgfb.org because we're a nonprofit, and we meet monthly at the we were meeting at the Biloxi Yacht Club. It's right next door.
Oh, that's a new development since the last time I talked to you.
That's a new development since January.
Okay.
And
because we went to your event.
In November.
In
Yeah,
November there.
It was great having
Which
you guys
was a great event, by the way. I don't think I got to talk to you after that.
I'm glad you guys showed up.
The
banquet.
Yeah, but I'm saying the food that you had that y'all were serving there.
Fish.
Yeah, oh man, it was amazing. It was great.
So and it cost $20 for the banquet, and that's your dues.
Right.
So now you're a member, and you got a seafood banquet dinner. So we don't make any money on that. We're just trying to give back to the membership and whoever wants to join.
It was a great event. It really was.
But we do meet every month. It's the second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Like I said, it's at the the O'Keefe Museum.
Yeah. It's right next door.
Right next door. Yeah. Right next door to the old Biloxi Yacht Club. 7 p.m. Second Thursday.
Well, good deal. You already mentioned, because that's where I kind of wanted to wrap things up, was what is it like to be a member? Where do they go if they want to join? That's
21st century now.
Right.
You can go online. You can go to the website. You go to the Facebook page, and you can join online. There's a method to do that, or you can come to the meeting. The great thing about the meetings, they're low key, they're casual. You become a member, and you're immediately a voting member. You get to see how the sausage is made, right? Where we're getting the donations, where we're going to put the next deployment. Meet other fishermen. We have charter boat captains is the place for you.
Yeah, there's a social club aspect to it, and not only do you get you
get the numbers
ahead of time of everybody else, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but you also y'all have guest speakers come in. I mean, you had when I was there, DMR came in and talked about the oyster off
Emily
bottom and everything. And I mean, gave a really great presentation about where we used to be to how we got to where we are and where they hope to go in the future. So there's a lot of science and information that you can gather from these meetings as well.
That's true. That's true. We try to bring people in that will have an interest in what the other guy. I mean, we're all fishermen, right? I mean, that's why we're there. So we try to bring people in that will be able to share their knowledge and their expertise with us.
That's great. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and the organization. I think it's something that's super cool that I didn't have I wasn't aware
I
of
had no idea.
until on that time. It boosted the membership because it really
It
is
ran.
important
Yeah,
stuff
it
y'all are
rolled.
doing. You know?
I can't thank you enough. I
No,
really
it's-
appreciate
the
it.
pleasure was all of
Yeah.
ours, man, and we
And
want to continue to
We
do
got
that.
some projects in the tank, right? We got some projects fixing
Yes.
to
So
roll out.
there's a couple more projects that are in the hopper right now for organizations specifically. We have a shrimp boat that's in the process of being cleaned. It's going to get deployed. Let me back that up. We have a shrimp boat that's ready to be deployed right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just waiting on a weather break. We need some smooth seas. We have a second shrimp boat that's in the process of setting up. Don't want to give away too much, but there might be a world's largest redfish attached to it.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. I like
Alright.
where y'all are going with the
Yeah,
marketing
I
on
like
this,
it
man. I don't
too.
know
Yeah.
if it, the funding, I'm sure, is an issue, but keep that going.
Absolutely.
We're putting together a project with the local CCA Mississippi, and
That would be amazing.
that'd be
we're
cool.
looking at the world's largest redfish.
Even if it does, maybe we become a dive destination just out of the artificial reefs that y'all
Yeah.
are putting out
That
there.
in the back of our mind, that is kind of what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Then we have one more project that's it's called a dry dock. It's made out of concrete. It's probably 45 foot long, 30 foot wide. The walls are 25, 30 foot tall. It's made to be sunk in the water. You pull a boat or a barge or whatever up in the middle of it, then they pump the water out and they float it, and it lifts the vessel out of the water.
Okay.
It's big and it's made out of concrete. And we've already got the funding for it. We're just waiting to get it cleaned up and deployed. That'll be going out this summer.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome.
So 3 projects, 3 more
Yep.
fish.
And I would recommend going to the Mississippi Gulf Fish Bank's Facebook page.
Facebook page?
Yep. Look that up. And there's also a Facebook group as well that you
Yeah.
can join. Go be a member. It's $20 a year. I mean, it's not breaking the bank, people, and you're helping support a great cause. Like we mentioned, every November they have their banquet,
Yep.
and you get your $20 back just in the banquet from the fried fish and,
And
shrimp.
boiled
the-
shrimp.
Yeah, it was a really good time. Again, it's a good excuse to get out of the house and go hang around like-minded individuals that like to talk about fishing. So, everybody for watching. If you like stuff like this and you like hearing about the what's going on the Gulf Coast, man, check us out, brownwaterbanter.com. Again, we're on all the social platforms, all the streaming services. You can listen to us on the go, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Download the app, too. We have our own app.